That's what I want to do. I'm pregnant and I have 9 months to own it. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No.
Brand new footage just resurfaced, and it shows Erika casually talking about hourly baby rentals. That clip alone has reignited a storm, and now people are openly questioning whether the public story about Erika and Charlie's children was ever the full picture. Online critics are digging into the timeline with a magnifying glass. Erika previously stated she had 2 C-sections and wasn't sure she wanted more children. That seemed clear at the time. But after Charlie passed, her tone shifted. She began saying she had always dreamed of having 4 kids. That sharp pivot raised eyebrows immediately. People are asking which version is real. And then there's the photo timeline. Followers started comparing old posts, event appearances, and reported birth dates. Some images don't appear to line up cleanly with the children's alleged due dates. In today's world, where influencers document everything from doctor visits to late-night cravings and there are zero public pregnancy photos, not one, no announcements, no visible baby bumps, no candid moments. Erika has said she chose to stay private during both pregnancies. That is absolutely her right. But critics argue that the sudden silence during those specific windows stands out, especially considering how open she was before and after those periods. This is where the speculation starts heating up. If any part of the rented babies rumor were true, and to be clear, that remains online theory, it would raise major questions, not just about public perception, but about what Charlie may have known. Concealing 2 pregnancies from a spouse would be extremely difficult. So either the internet is wildly off base, or there's more to the timeline than what's been publicly explained.
You guys aren't done, are you?
We might have one more.
Okay.
I'm kind of torn. The only reason why I'm torn is because I had C-sections for both. So I'm like, how many more times does Charlie need to see my organ?
That's why this resurfaced clip has people talking nonstop. The video dates back to 2015. Erika was on set filming a project holding an infant. The caption reportedly read, "The perk of playing a young mom TV role, hourly baby rentals." On the surface, that could mean nothing. Film and television productions regularly hire infants for scenes. Actors often joke about holding babies between takes. It could have been harmless humor about getting paid to cuddle a co-star. But context changes everything. After the recent timeline debates, that old caption feels different to some viewers. What once looked like a casual behind-the-scenes joke is now being re-examined through a much sharper lens. People are screenshotting it, zooming in, comparing dates. Online forums are connecting dots fast. Some argue the clip proves nothing and that dragging a decade-old joke into current speculation is unfair. Others believe it's too coincidental to ignore, especially given the timeline inconsistencies critics have pointed out. And the biggest sticking point remains the shift in narrative. First, uncertainty about having more children. Later, a lifelong dream of 4. Add in the lack of documented pregnancies, the resurfaced baby rental caption, and the timeline scrutiny. And the internet has turned this into a full-blown investigation. At this point, there are only 2 possibilities. Either the rumors are completely off track and private choices are being misread, or pieces of the story haven't been fully clarified yet. What's undeniable is this: that old 2015 clip has reignited a conversation people thought had quieted down. And right now, everyone is watching closely. Now the debate has shifted to one sharp question. Was that hourly baby rentals line just a harmless acting joke? Or does it connect to rumors that surfaced years later? At first, most people brushed it off, but speculation accelerated when viewers noticed something simple yet significant. There are no clear pregnancy photos of Erika anywhere. Not one confirmed public image showing a visible baby bump. In an era where influencers document everything, from coffee runs to doctor appointments, that kind of silence stands out. Supporters argue privacy is a personal choice. Critics counter that the absence feels unusual given how public other parts of her life have been. There is one short clip circulating online that supposedly shows Erika during an ultrasound appointment. But even that footage has raised questions. Observers claim the sonogram screen displays the name Erika Fran Vey instead of Erika Kirk. That detail alone sparked online debate. On top of that, some critics point out that medical sonogram screens typically list the patient's last name first, followed by their first name, often alongside a date of birth. In the circulating clip, those formatting details aren't clearly visible. Now, could that be normal? Possibly. Medical systems vary. Screen angles can distort what viewers see. But once internet investigators start stacking small details together, they begin to look bigger than they might be on their own. Individually, none of this proves anything. Together, critics say it feels inconsistent. So let's look at Erika's explanation. She has stated that she stayed out of the public eye during both pregnancies for privacy reasons. That's her position. She chose not to share pregnancy photos, not to document the experience publicly, and not to invite commentary during that time. However, this is where critics push back. They argue that if the goal was complete privacy, why later share selective moments, such as a photo of a positive pregnancy test, hospital room snapshots, or carefully staged newborn pictures? Online voices are saying you can't describe it as total privacy while also releasing curated moments that shape the narrative. In other words, critics frame it as an all-or-nothing situation, either fully private or strategically selective. Supporters respond that people are allowed to share what they feel comfortable sharing when they feel ready. Privacy isn't necessarily black and white. Still, questions linger. Another point being raised is Erika's public history. Before and after those pregnancies, she was active in modeling spaces, reality-style media circles, and public-facing projects. That track record doesn't exactly match someone who consistently avoids attention. Again, that doesn't prove anything. People evolve, priorities change. Some choose privacy during pregnancy specifically due to stress or medical concerns. But critics aren't just looking at the past, they're comparing behavior patterns. They're analyzing consistency. And when they combine the resurfaced hourly baby rentals caption, the lack of documented pregnancy images, the formatting questions about the ultrasound clip, and the later shift in how many children she said she wanted, they see a puzzle with pieces that don't perfectly align. Is it coincidence, misinterpretation, or selective storytelling? That's the question driving. The online digging. At this point, no verified evidence confirms any wrongdoing. The rented babies theory remains speculation circulating on social platforms. But the reason it continues gaining traction is because each small detail, when isolated, may look harmless. Yet together, they form a timeline critics find difficult to ignore. And that's why the conversation isn't fading. It's expanding. Critics are now studying Erika's behavior after Charlie's reported situation. And they argue the pattern doesn't align with someone who suddenly values total privacy. This is the same person who shared emotional footage during an extremely painful period. She also allowed memorial merchandise to be sold in connection with the event. There were even reports of a replica-style setup where attendees could take photos. Supporters say that was about honoring his legacy. Critics say it felt highly public. Either way, it wasn't quiet. So now the internet is asking a blunt question. If someone is comfortable being that visible during intense emotional moments, how likely is it that they completely disappeared for 9 straight months? Not once, but twice, without a single candid photo surfacing. That's the debate heating up online. And things escalated fast after political commentator Candace Owens stated that an eyewitness allegedly spotted Erika at Fort Huachuca. That claim shifted the conversation into a new lane. The timeline suddenly mattered even more. Then came another twist. A spokesperson for Turning Point, Andrew Colt, released a photo saying it proved Erika was home with her children on September 8th. The image was meant to shut down speculation immediately. Instead, it did the opposite. People zoomed in. They analyzed shadows, furniture, background details. But most of the attention locked onto the young boy in the photo. Online critics began claiming the child appeared closer to 3 or 4 years old, not under 2. That observation sparked a timeline clash. Based on previously shared public dates, Charlie's son was reportedly born in May 2024. If that's accurate, he would have been around 16 months old when that September photo was taken. Critics argue that the child in the image looks more physically developed than what they expect from a 16-month-old. Supporters counter that children grow at different rates. Some are taller, some appear older. Photos can distort size and posture. Still, that visual discrepancy triggered a fresh wave of debate. Then viewers started noticing another pattern in interviews. Erika often speaks warmly about her daughter. She shares stories, details, little anecdotes. But when it comes to her son, critics claim his name and personal stories rarely come up publicly. Supporters say that means nothing. Every parent shares differently. Some children are simply kept more private. Critics argue the contrast feels noticeable, and it doesn't stop there. When Charlie was still alive, Erika stated publicly that she had C-sections for both children. She explained that the surgeries made her uncertain about having more kids in the future. That statement was clear at the time. But after Charlie's passing, she began expressing that she had always dreamed of having 4 children. For some online observers, that tonal shift adds to the larger puzzle. For others, it reflects a change of heart after a life-altering event. Right now, there are 2 competing narratives unfolding. One says this is a private family being unfairly dissected by the internet. The other says inconsistencies deserve clarification. What's undeniable is this: every new detail, from public appearances to interview wording to a single photo, is being examined frame by frame. And the timeline questions aren't slowing down anytime soon. C-sections are serious medical procedures. They're major abdominal surgeries with real recovery time, real pain, and real risks. No one disputes that. What caught attention online wasn't the surgery itself. It was how Erika described her hesitation. She reportedly said she worried about Charlie seeing her organs during the procedure. That detail stuck. Critics argue that when most women talk about C-sections, they focus on healing, scar recovery, physical strain, or emotional adjustment. Not that specific visual concern. Supporters push back hard on that point. They say everyone processes surgery differently. Fear can show up in unexpected ways. Just because her explanation sounded unusual to some doesn't make it untrue. Still, critics say the framing felt odd given the circumstances. And now people are stacking everything side by side: the timeline questions, the alibi photo, the resurfaced interviews, and those older comments about surgery. When the internet starts lining up dates, screenshots, and quotes, the questions don't slow down, they multiply fast. Erika's comment about worrying over Charlie seeing her organs during surgery has been replayed countless times in clips. Critics argue it paints a very specific emotional picture. But here's where the narrative shifts again. Fast forward to now. Erika has recently stated that she and Charlie always wanted 4 children. Always, that's a strong word. Especially when earlier interviews suggested hesitation about expanding their family due to the physical toll of C-sections. That earlier uncertainty, it's rarely mentioned anymore. Online voices are highlighting the contrast. Before, the message sounded cautious, unsure, concerned about medical realities. Now, the framing suggests that a large household was always the shared dream. Supporters say people change their minds all the time. Life events shift priorities. Losing a spouse can alter how someone talks about the future. Critics argue the storyline feels rewritten. Then the focus shifted again. This time to how Erika presents herself. Publicly since Charlie passed, she speaks frequently about motherhood being her highest calling. She encourages young women not to delay having children. She promotes family-first values strongly and consistently. That messaging resonates with many. But critics are asking a tougher question. If motherhood is truly the central role in her life, wouldn't that mean stepping back from public visibility, especially after her children lost their father in such a traumatic way? That's the emotional angle people keep circling back to. Supporters respond that grief doesn't look the same for everyone. Some people withdraw, others stay active. Some channel pain into purpose and advocacy. There's no single blueprint for how a parent should behave after loss. Critics, however, argue that the public messaging doesn't always align with the expectations she promotes. They say if someone urges others to prioritize home above all else, their own choices will naturally be examined through that same lens, and that disconnect between past hesitation, current certainty, and the strong branding around motherhood is exactly why the conversation keeps growing. Every resurfaced quote, every timeline detail, every interview clip gets placed into the larger puzzle. Supporters see growth and evolving perspective. Critics see inconsistency. And the internet, once locked onto a pattern, rarely lets go. Right now, the same questions keep echoing. Did the narrative evolve naturally? Or was it adjusted over time? That tension between interpretation and intention is what keeps this debate alive. Erika is rarely seen publicly with her children. Supporters say that alone proves nothing. Maybe she simply chooses not to post them. Maybe she's protecting their privacy. That's a fair point. But critics are asking a practical question. How much time can she realistically be spending at home if she's constantly traveling? doing interviews, speaking, at events, appearing in photo ops, and moving across the country for conferences. Right after Charlie passed, Erika was named CEO of Turning Point USA. There wasn't a long transition period. No extended step back from public life. It was immediate. Full leadership mode. Since then, she's leaned hard into a high visibility role. Panels, strategy meetings, national events, a packed schedule that signals expansion, not retreat. At the same time, she publicly encourages young women to step away from career ambitions and prioritize home and family first. That's where critics say the contradiction becomes harder to ignore. Before she met Charlie, Erika had already launched businesses and pursued higher education. She didn't marry or have children until her 30s. That's her documented timeline. Now she strongly promotes early family building and warns against delaying motherhood for professional goals. Supporters argue that personal growth can reshape beliefs, people evolve. Experiences change perspective. Critics argue the messaging feels selective. They say there's one version of the story preached loudly on stage. Faith, family, sacrifice, stepping away from career paths. And then there's the version they claim they see in action. Executive leadership, national visibility, organizational growth, and increasing influence. To critics, that contrast feels sharp. To supporters, it reflects balance. And the deeper people dig into old interviews, archived photos, and public timelines, the more divided the opinions become. Every quote is revisited. Every date re-examined. Some are now asking an even bigger question. Was this entire narrative, from the marriage to the public image to the leadership role, carefully shaped from the beginning? That theory is circulating online. To be clear, it remains speculation. There's no confirmed evidence proving deliberate construction. But the reason the idea has traction is because critics believe they see patterns, evolving narratives, strong branding shifts, and carefully timed public appearances. Supporters counter that grief can redefine purpose. Stepping into leadership after loss may have been about honoring Charlie's mission. Staying active may be part of coping. Public visibility doesn't automatically equal neglect at home. Still, the practical question lingers. If motherhood is described as her highest calling, how does that align with a demanding executive schedule? Is it possible to lead nationally while fully prioritizing private family life? Many would say yes. Others say the optics complicate the message. That tension between what's preached and what's practiced is what keeps this debate alive. Some see empowerment, others see inconsistency. And the more interviews resurface, the more old clips circulate, the louder the divide becomes. Right now, one thing is clear. This conversation isn't fading. It's evolving. So, what do you think? Is this all coincidence, a mix of grief, growth, and misunderstood optics? Or is there more happening behind the scenes than we've been shown? The internet has chosen sides. Now the question is, where do you stand?